for this video, we are going to talk about combined variation. So when we say combined variation, from the word combined, it is actually a combination of the first three previous variations that we talk about. So it can be a combination of direct and inverse variations, or it can be also a combination of joint and inverse variation. So combined variation is a function in the form z is equal to kx over y, or it can be also a function in the form z is equal to kw x over y, wherein k is the constant and k should not be equal to 0. Okay? So, napansin nyo, yung una, this one, it is a combination of direct and inverse variation. And then the second one is actually a combination of joint and inverse variation. So, kaya nabuo si combined variation. So, before ko kayong turuan kung paano mag-solve ng problems regarding combined variation, let us first translate this statements into its equivalent function. So first, we have z varies directly as x and inversely as y. So basically, when we talk about combined variation kasi, yung function na mapo-form nyo is fraction, no? Yung nasa right side ng equation specifically is fraction. Kasi may inverse may inverse variation. So, if we write this one into a function, it will be z is equal to kx, kasi x is directly proportional to z, over y is inversely proportional to z naman. Kaya siya nasa baba or nasa denominator. And then the second one, we have a varies jointly as the square of b and c. So when we talk about joint variation naman, there is another variable that is involved. No? Madadagdagan lang yung variable. And inversely as the cube of t. So if we write that into a function, it will become like this. A is equal to k. Again, lagi andyan si k. That is the constant of variation kasi. K, b squared, c squared. Kasi sabi sa statement, square of b and c. No? Over cube of d is d cube. No? D cube is inversely proportional to a. That's why nasa baba siya. And then the next one, t varies directly as u and inversely as the cube of x. So if we write that into a function, t is equal to ku. U is directly proportional to t kasi, kaya siya katabi ng k, okay, ng constant, over s cube. S cube is inversely proportional to t kasi. Okay? And then the last one, we have m varies jointly as the square root of n and o, and inversely as the cube root of p. So we have m is equal to k, square root of no, kasi according sa statement, no, square root of no, both. So, yeah, we wrote a radical here over cube root of p. Kasi si cube root of p is inversely proportional kay m, kaya siya nasa baba. So that is how you translate variation statement into a function. How about if we solve a problem regarding combined variation? So let's say we have problem number 1, and we have z varies directly as x and inversely as y. If z is equal to 3, when x is equal to 12 and y is equal to 2, we're going to find the value of z when x is equal to 20 and y is equal to 5. Okay? So just like the previous variations that we talked about, the first thing that we need to do to solve this problem is to translate the first phrase of this given into a function. So, kailangan i-translate muna natin si z varies directly as x and inversely as y into a function or a formula that we need to solve this problem. So, z varies directly as x and inversely as y. If we write that into a function, it will become z is equal to kx over y, wherein k is the constant of variation, kaya siya nandun. Now, as you can see here in the problem, wala tayong value ng constant. No? Walang value si k. Therefore, we need to first find the value of k using the first given of z, x, and y. Yan yung gagamitin natin to solve the value of k, which is your constant. Okay? Now, for us to solve the value of k, we will use the function that we derive from the statement. So, we have z is equal to kx over y. Substitute natin yung given. First given of z, x, and y. So, yung z natin is 3 is equal to, so write natin yung k, and then, we have yung x natin is equal to 12, and then rewriting this expression, mauuna kasi dapat yung number sa variable. So, it will become 12k over the value of y is 2. Okay? Now, for us to solve this equation and to find the value of k, we need to assume that the denominator of 3 is 1. No? Para we can cross-multiply them. Para mas mapabilis. No? Cross-multiply natin. Ngayon, 3 times 2 is equal to 6, di ba? And then 1 times 12k is equal to 12k. Now, para maalis natin yung coefficient ni k, we need to divide both equations by 12. No, 12 kasi yung coefficient niya. So, you need to divide that para ma-cancel yung 12. No? So, we now have k is equal to 6 over 12. We cannot divide 6 by 12, no? But we can still simplify it. Pag sinimplify natin, divide natin sa common factor nila, which is 6. Therefore, the value of k now is equal to 1/2. Okay? Yan na ngayon yung value ng k mo right after you simplify it. Now that we have the value of the constant of variation, pwede na ba natin i-solve yung value ng z? Kasi we are looking for the value of z in the problem, di ba? Yes, we can now solve for the value of z. Now that we have the value of the constant of variation. So, to find the value of z, again, we will use the function that we derive from the statement. And then, we need to use the second given for x and y, and also the value of k that we solved a while ago. No? So again, using the function z is equal to kx over y, substitute lang natin yung given natin. So we have z is equal to, k natin is 1/2, so write natin dyan 1/2. And then, yung x natin is 20. All over, the value of y is 5. Now, here in our problem, as you can see, we need to simplify yung numerator muna, no? 1/2 of 20. Pag minultiply ba natin si 1/2 kay 20, that will be equal to 10, di ba? Over 5. Now, we have 10 over 5. If we simplify 10 over 5, that will be equal to 2. 10 divided by 5 is equal to 2. Therefore, we now have our answer, which is 2. So, the value of the constant of variation in this problem is 1/2, and the value of the unknown or the value of z is equal to 2. Okay? How about another example? So the first example is a combination of direct and inverse variation. In this example, combination of joint and inverse naman. So we have z varies jointly as x and y. And inversely as the square of w. So if z is equal to 18, when x is equal to 8, y is equal to 12, and w is equal to 4, find the value of z when x is equal to 9, y is equal to 10, and w is equal to 3. So we have this second problem. This is a combination of joint and inverse variation. So again, just like what we did earlier, we will derive a function using the statement here. So ito, z varies jointly as x and y, and inversely as the square of w. If you write this into a function, it will become like this. So z is equal to k varies jointly as x and y. So kxy all over and varies inversely as the square of w. Inversely as the square of w. Okay? So that will be the function needed to solve the unknown. And as you can see here, in our problem, walang given yung constant of variation. So we need to first look for the value of k. No? Using the first given of z, x, y, and w. So to solve the value of k, we will be using the function here. So yung z natin is equal to 18. K is what is missing, no? X natin is 8. And then Y natin is 12. So, rewriting this one, kasi nauna yung variable sa numbers. So, i-rewrite lang natin siya. Kasi dapat laging mauna yung numbers kesa sa variables. So, rewriting that, it will become 8 and then 12 and then we have our k there over w squared. Our w is 4, so 4 squared. So solving this, we have 18 is equal to 8 times 12. That will be equal to 96k. Okay? All over 4 squared is equal to 16. Now, para ma-solve natin yung value ni k, we will assume na yung denominator ni 18 is equal to 1. No? And then, we will cross-multiply. So, kapag kin-cross-multiply natin yan, 18 times 16, that is equal to 256. 88 equals 96K times 1 is equal to 96K. So, para ma-cancel out yung coefficient ni K, we need to divide both sides of the equation by 96. So, it will be cancelled and the value of K is equal to 288 over 96. So, actually, we can divide 288 by 96 and that will be equal to 3. So, the value of the constant of variation is actually equal to 3. So now that we already solved the value of the constant, we can now solve the value of the unknown, or specifically the value of z in this given problem. No? And then we can now solve for the value of z. Now that we have the value of the constant, we can now solve yung value of the unknown using the second values of x, y, and w. Okay? So using the function, we now have z is equal to the value of k is 3 and then times the value of x, which is 9, and then we have 10 as the value of y. Over, w natin is 3, and then naka-squared siya. Simplifying this equation, z is equal to 3 times 9 times 10, that is equal to 270 over 3 squared. 3 squared is equal to 9. And then we can actually simplify this by dividing 270 by 9 and the answer is equal to 30. So in this problem, the value of the constant of variation is 3 and the value of the unknown, which is z, is equal to 30. How about if the given problem is a word problem regarding combined variation? Like this example. The electrical resistance R of a wire varies directly as its length L and inversely as the square of its diameter D. A wire with a length of 5 meters and a diameter of 0.25 meters has a resistance of 20 ohms. Find the electrical resistance in a 10-meter long wire having twice the diameter. So again, first, we need to derive a function using the variation statement. No? So ito yung variation statement yung nasa umpisa ng problem. So the electrical resistance R of a wire varies directly as its length L and inversely as the square of its diameter D. So D squared. If we convert this variation statement into a function, it will become like this. So R is equal to KL over D squared. Okay? And then right after we get that, we can now solve for our K. Kasi wala namang binigay na value ng constant of variation here in the problem. So first, we need to find the value of K using the first given na value ng length, which is 5 meters, and yung first value ng diameter, which is 0.25 meter. And we need to also use the first value of the resistance, which is 20 ohms, no? Para mahanap natin, ma-compute natin yung value ng K. So, using the function R is equal to KL over T squared, substitute natin yung lahat ng naka-underline na values ng L, D, and R. So, yung R natin, according dito sa given is 20 equals K is what we are looking for. So, write K there. Yung length natin is 5 meters. So, write 5 dyan. But then, again, katulad nga ng sinabi ko, laging mauuna yung number kesa doon sa variable. So, we can write 5K here. Yung 5 is yung value ng length mo. K is what you're looking for. So, rewrite nyo lang yung K. Yung D mo is 0.25 meters. And then, naka-square siya, no, according dito sa function. So, 0.25 squared. And then, we now have 20 is equal to 5K over, pakisimplify lang si 0.25 squared, and you will get 0.0625. Continuing the solution, here, para mahanap natin yung value ni K, assume natin na yung 20 ang denominator niya ay 1. Okay, equals 5K, and then we have 0.0625 there. And then you need to cross-multiply. So, cross-multiply natin 20 times 0.0625, that is equal to 1.25, okay? Equals 1 times 5K, that is equal to 5K. And then, para ma-cancel out natin yung coefficient ni K, divide natin both sides by K. The value of K now will be equal to 1.25 over 5. Divide natin si 1.25 kay 5, we will get 0.25. Okay, so that will be now the value of the constant of variation, 0.25. Now that we already have the value of the constant of variation, we can now compute for the resistance of a 10-meter long wire having twice its diameter. No? So the solution for R, kasi ang nawawala is yung resistance, no? So, R is equal to, K natin is 0.25. So, I wrote 0.25 here. Yung length natin, yung second na given sa length natin is 10 meters. So, times natin siya sa 10. All over twice the diameter. So, kanina yung diameter natin is 0.25. What we need to do is that dodoblihin lang natin si 0.25. Kapag dinoble natin si 0.25, kasi sabi dun twice the diameter, di ba? So, 0.25 times 2, that will be the given for the second diameter. So, that is equal to 0.5. And then, naka-square siya. Okay? Now, we have R is equal to 0.25 times na natin straight up, no? 0.25 times 10, that is equal to 2.5 over yung square ng 0.5 is equal to 0.25. Okay? So, bale, resistance is equal to 2.5 over 0.25. Para ma-compute natin yung resistance, divide natin si 2.5 kay 0.25. The answer is 10. And then, kung napapansin nyo, meron unit na ginamit for resistance here, which is ohms. So, lagyan lang natin 10 ohms. That is the unit for resistance. So in this word problem, the constant of variation is equal to 0.25 and the resistance of a 10-meter long wire having the twice of its diameter, which is 0.25, is equal to 10 ohms. So that's it. That is everything about combined variation.